Less than 7 minutes since she came through the doors, the patient is now on the way to the OR.
We're gonna need about 50 cc's of character development.
A quiet intensity has now settled into the room. If things don't end well, it then becomes one of the toughest parts of a surgeon's job.
You know, you can't save them all, but we try.
Placeholder introduction. All right. Ah! Onward is Pixar's latest release, and it just kind of came and went. I watched it on Disney Plus after no one recommended it to me, so if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. Honestly, I thought Pixar's fantasy adventure was quite prodigious. Hold on, am I using that word right? Not prodigious, that one's correct. Adventure is the one I'm talking about. Real talk though, Onward is so boring. There's like 5 characters, all of them are bland, the plot was predictable, and the atmosphere they created was cool, but never really elaborated on or explored. And I know saying that sounds harsh, because it was, but the thing is, there's a difference between intention and execution. But I'm not here to just be negative, not only because that's a waste of time, but also there are a lot of really unique and amazing things in this film that I wish were taken further. So this video is going to be me trying to breathe life into a project that I thought could have been really unique, and highlight some great ideas that probably got lost in development. So it is time to script doctor this bitch. Oh, also spoilers for all of Onward, and also I'll be going over a little bit of Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, so yeah. And I'm gonna do my best to separate this into 4 parts. We got plot, theme, character, and influence. Let's start with influence. As the movie begins, we are introduced to a vibrant but typical fantasy world in their first moments where they're discovering electricity. Then, fast forward however many years, life transforms into our modern day world with some fantasy elements. Instead of depending on magic and nature, society now depends on electricity. Okay, so literally 2 minutes in and we've got a huge issue. You cannot just yada yada 200 plus years of societal revolutions and technological advancements. And this movie doesn't really do any work to explain what kind of society we live in. Like, are we in America? Because this looks like an American license plate.
And sticking with the theme of transportation, this lady here doesn't really look like she fits in the car, but also it doesn't really look like there are any other sizes of cars available. The opposite can be said for these pixies. It takes 4 of them to operate a motorcycle, but wouldn't an established society with a diverse spectrum of individuals have a wide array of economic choices for transportation?
But look, in the grand scheme of things, I'll agree that none of these details really matter. My point is that none of these specifics actually service the plot or the environment that they created. Now, compare this to Cars, a movie that gets the same, albeit unfair, how did we get here aesthetic complaint. Cars' atmosphere works because not only is the theme of the movie much stronger, the film sets up and consistently conveys that everything in the world is the same, except with cars. I mean, yes, it's a stretch, but it's clear. So when I see photos like this, like, yeah, it's weird, but so is a rat directing someone's body parts to move in certain positions through pulling their hair. What's your point? So Cars gets away with this, but Onward doesn't, because the characters are significantly impacted and constantly have to work around the society that's been invented, and that highlights its inconsistencies. And to make it worse, nothing in this story's plot or theme have any necessary elements that need modern technology. Half the time they're crossing a bridge or navigating through a tomb, so why go through the effort to make it a modern story? I guess there is this faint through line of characters discovering their ancestral abilities, like flight or running fast, but it's not consistent in the film, and it's just kind of framed to make them look stupid or unprepared. Tingo, did you know your ancestors used to be hunters? That's right, now you're afraid of the cat. How does that make you feel? Okay, surgery time. I want to make 2 big changes to the lore. 1, anyone can be a wizard, they just need a wand and a lot of practice. 2, electricity is infinite and derived from one source of power. This does 2 things. It speeds up their industrial revolution, and it doesn't mirror society so exactly. So like, right off the bat, 200 years ago, you have people taking down dragons with tasers, and then you have magic as an optional choice, making it less special. In the movie, having magical powers is framed as a gift.
A person can only do magic if they have the gift, and my little brother has the magic gift!
Regardless of what society you live in, having magic powers when others don't is objectively incredible. Like, even if you were interested or not, you would want to know if you had these abilities. So now we can socially level out the playing field by making magic less incredible. Maybe they have little 6-year-olds on the fantasy version of Ellen showing off how well they can like float things in the air. Just like in real life, how she brings on like tiny tots to play piano better than you possibly ever could, just to make you feel insecure and bad.
Around me are familiar.
So anyway, moving on, there's no doubt a lot of time went into developing the world and atmosphere. That said, the way the characters interact and grow was not. Okay, so in this movie we have 4 characters that are emotionally involved, and of those 4 characters, 2 of them actually change. Let's start with Laurel Littlefoot, which is the dumbest name I've ever heard. So she's your typical Pixar mom. She's loving, supportive, and she's got a dump truck of an ass.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass.
In the movie, we don't really know much about her other than that she wants the best for her kids, but the film's entire B story is dedicated to her chasing after them. Then at the end, she's fighting this dragon, but we know so little about her that it's not a display of growth or change, it's just a thing she does. I do like, however, that Pixar accidentally created a through line for Julie Louis-Dreyfus. You know, one of the most successful, unique, and outgoing comedic actresses of our time. Yeah, so every 10 years they bring her in to play a do-nothing character that adds nothing to the story and might as well not be there. I can't wait to see what they do next. Anyway, it's clear that the character has some sort of adventurous side, and I want to lean into that. So for Laurel, I'm going to prescribe that she used to be a wrestler in high school and college. She was the very best at it because it was in her bones and her heritage. However, she always faced adversity because it was like stereotypical of her being a good wrestler and also being like a big goblin or something. I don't know. So although she loved it, she never really felt accepted. Then her family came along and she dropped the idea completely. Now through the course of the movie, she can learn to embrace her past and her interests. And then she can use what makes her special to fight for her loved ones. Now for the Manticore. In the film, she used to be a horrible and feared beast. However, over time, she had to modify herself in order for her business to become more viable, resulting in her basically running a Chuck E. Cheese. She kind of grows in this. She does go from not flying to being able to fly, but that's only because the plot needed them to get one place to the next. Instead, we're going to make her similar to Laurel, a strong, powerful individual that was told by society that their ideas were wrong. So she molded herself into something that fit society, i.e. owning a Chuck E. Cheese. You seeing the parallels I'm making here? Cool. So, when they first meet, these characters will first judge each other for being so different. However, through trials and tribulations, the two will learn that you don't have to change who you are in order to be happy. Okay, so before we move on to Ian and Barley, I want to put a pin in the character thing. We will get to them later, but first we need to discuss the plot and theme. Okay, in my notes I wrote poot line. Which is wrong, but also this plot line is a poot line. Onward probably has the single most simple 3-act structure to any Pixar film. Let's discuss it, shall we? Backstory. Right away, we learn why things are the way they are. Inciting incident. Ian turns 16 and Laurel gets the wand from the attic. This leads them to try to bring their father back with the spell. Point of attack. The two boys go to find another Phoenix crystal. This establishes our central conflict. Ian wants to see his dad. That gives us our lock-in. Our hero has a quest and now goes out to quest it. That brings us to our first culmination, meeting the Manticore and using magic on purpose for the first time. Midpoint, where they take a break and dance. End of Act 2. They escape the cops and find the temple cave river, I guess? That builds into tension for Act 3. The heroes are literally back where they started and are at their lowest point. Twist in the third act. The magic crystal is found, but the curse is activated and now the dragon has to be defeated. Climax. Ian sacrifices what he wants for his brother, displaying his growth as a character. Okay. Is it bad that a movie geared toward children has a very simple plot structure? No. That's not my problem here. The problem is that there's virtually no growth or development with any of the characters inside of this simple plot, and that's where things get messy. From the beginning, thematically, the story sets up Ian's lack of confidence in himself and trust in others.
Gorgamon, would you mind not putting your feet on my chair today?
Sorry, dude. Gotta keep them elevated.
Merge into traffic? Merge into traffic!
I'm not ready!
Are you inviting us to a party?
That's the one.
Oh, yeah, we don't have any plans.
Yeah, okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
Really? I just remembered that my birthday is canceled.
What?
I mean, the party, it was never actually happening. It was just this huge misunderstanding.
However, the climax of this film is about Ian learning to not take advantage of the love that already surrounds him. And those just aren't the same. The movie succeeds really well in hitting home this theme of we get to pick our heroes and whom we aspire to look up to. But none of that has anything to do with whether or not you're brave enough to invite your friends to a party. But let's step back for a second and compare all of this to Finding Nemo. The movies have a similar framing because you have Marlin in the beginning who's so scared of life he can barely leave the house, juxtaposed to the end of the film when he's riding in the mouth of a pelican. However, in Nemo, we see Marlin's growth in moments where they almost get eaten by a shark because Marlin was arguing with Dory, or when they almost get killed by jellyfish because Marlin thought he knew better. Then he's nearly trapped in a whale forever because he just couldn't let go and not be in control for 1 second. It's those individual moments that make the story. Onward is just comprised of a bunch of challenges that are hard, but will be easy to overcome if you just do a spell perfectly the right time.
One must follow all decrees. You have to do everything. Speak from your heart's fire, trust yourself, focus, all of it.
It's not about how hard it is to shoot lightning out of your wand, it's about the emotional context behind why you're shooting lightning out of your wand. Wait. Oh, and to make it worse, Onward takes a page out of my least favorite Pixar film, Finding Dory. It centers a massive chunk of Ian's character development around whether or not he trusts his brother's gut instinct. Oh my god, it's so stupid. I feel like I need to elaborate here. There's this part in Finding Dory where Nemo and Marlin are stuck in a tank, and they have to jump on moving platforms of water being shot from the ground in order to get to their next stupid location in the movie. Nemo suggests it as a plan, and Marlin objects, and then Nemo says,
Dory would do it.
"Look, Dad, a cup just did it. Do I need to find another reason?" Anyway, they end up going for it because it's a bad film. This circumstance just translates to, we don't have a choice, so I hope we don't die. Then after, when they don't die, guess what they say?
Are you okay?
Yeah. What would Dory do now?
Who's Dory? Oh, boy.
That's right,
We happy to see
nothing.
you.
They never address it again because it's a scene that doesn't matter in a bad film. I trusted my gut when I decided to make this YouTube video, and look how many dislikes it has. I mean, come on, guys! Okay, so for the plot. It's not that I don't like it, but the mentality behind the actions needs to change. It can't just be a daunting task. The characters need to learn something about themselves as they learn about the challenge they're facing. So I'm going to make it so that the characters keep getting in each other's way because they don't trust each other enough to do any single task right. Okay, so I've talked about what I want from the theme and tone. Let's go back to Ian and Bartley. So, I'm gonna make Ian more of a science enthusiast, since that's already hinted at in the film. He is a hardcore problem solver and believes that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. He doesn't have many friends because he's really smart, and that can be kind of intimidating. Like if someone uses grammar wrong, he'll just correct them regardless if it's appropriate or not. So he's kind of your typical nerd, but more aggressively independent. So then when he finds out he can bring his dad back, he really jumps on the idea because he knows that his dad is an accountant. That's also a detail from the film, by the way. They both have this math and science background, and he thinks he'll finally be able to meet someone who truly understands him. Then we have Bartley, who is currently this weird mix of high school dropout and D&D enthusiast. But instead, I'm just gonna make him a loser nerd history buff. He knows everything there is about magic and its history, how it came to be, and how things were phased out. And I'm gonna establish all his D&D figures instead as real historical relics or tributes. Now, Barley's gonna be more of a homebody. He doesn't really like adventure because it involves taking risks, so they're able to bring half their dad back because of Barley's knowledge, and then thrust on their adventure because of Ian's aggressive nature to tackle problems. During the movie, the two are gonna be using each other as tools. Ian is naturally better at magic, but Barley is more knowledgeable about the terrain and how magic initially works. The two are just using each other to get what they want, so there's no real respect there, because deep down, they're doing it to get their dad back. They're not doing it for each other's benefit. It's almost like we have this fantasy thing and this modern thing that just aren't really clicking. Where have I seen that before? So the way the characters view the world will change based on what they learn about each other. Man, I'm like Sandra Oh, just sewing all these things together. I need someone give me some chewing gum. So in my version, on their journey, Ian and Barley learn that there's more to life than being the smartest person in the room, and also the world has a lot to teach you if you just stop for a moment and listen. You know, I really respect what Pixar did with this film, and I think my frustration stems from the idea that I want these characters to have a better movie. There's so much diversity and representation of individuality in this film, but none of it really gets to shine because of some silly mistakes and half-baked ideas. Plus, almost everything I changed was inspired by a line or something that was already in the film. That being said, comment down below, let me know how you feel. If you liked Onward, that's great. You deserve to like something that makes you happy. However, if you liked Finding Dory, I mean, good for you, but we can't be friends. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I know I just yelled at you for 20 minutes straight, but have a wonderful day and please stay safe, and I will see you next time.